How you doing, good people? This is the 8-Bit Animal. And today we're going to talk about a game set in ancient Greece. Well, centered around Greek mythology in ancient Greece. So there have been a lot of games with ancient Greek mythology as the subject matter. From God of War to Hades, which was the indie darling of 2020. I love that game. It's fantastic. You should play it if you haven't yet. To lesser known titles like Gods and today's game. Well, today's game borrows a lot from action-adventure titles like Castlevania 2 and The Legend of Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. And it borrows stuff from those games, like some of the best stuff from those games, while fixing some of the problems that those games had. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the Battle of Olympus. Now, in the Battle of Olympus, you play as Orpheus, whose girlfriend Helene has been kidnapped by Hades and taken to the underworld. In order for Orpheus to rescue Helene, he goes to different city-states and has to curry favor with the gods in order to get items that he needs to defeat different bosses, to access different parts of the game world. Because again, this is an open world game where you basically, much like Castlevania 2, you journey from left to right and go down stairs and stuff like that and go through doors in order to access new parts of the game world. Some of those parts of the game world will force you to need new items in order to access them. You may not be strong enough to beat certain bosses. You may need a weapon that's required. Stuff like that. And in order to get that stuff, you have to do what the gods tell you to do. There's some weird stuff where you have to curry favor with a witch to get a particular type of shield to defeat a boss. It's a lot going on, but it's a lot of cool stuff. But this game ain't no punk. This game ain't scary. Well, it is scary. It's a bigger game for the NES, especially one that isn't an RPG. And I mean, there's no way around it. You gotta get good. You can't just meander into this like in Super Mario Brothers where you could beat the game without getting a mushroom or a fire flower. You gotta level up and power up your character in order to do certain things in this game. And that's really cool. Because action adventure titles, they left a lot to be desired at different points. There are titles like Highlight and Demon Tower, which are infamous for how just slapdash they were. And then there are incredibly polished efforts like Legend of Zelda and Zelda 2 and Chrysalis and things like that, where those adventure games were polished and those games were well done. And so this game really does feel like the best parts of Zelda 2 without the wonky overworld map, things like that. And honestly, this might be one of the best kept secrets on the NES because nobody remembers this game. If you mention it to somebody, if they didn't expressly play it, which a lot of people didn't, they'll look at you in utter confusion and think you're talking about Castlevania 2 or Zelda 2. Is what it is, though. There are a number of different parts of Greek mythology that are involved in this game, like the different city-states, riding a Pegasus. I think you deal with a Cerberus or a Hydra and or a Hydra at some point. But there's a lot, and it's great. It's well done, and Infinity did a great job with the development of this title. And also, fun fact, in 1991, this was a first-party release from Nintendo in Europe. Yeah, so Nintendo had a knack for just grabbing random games and publishing them in places where they didn't get it published. It's cool. We'll talk about it later. But on task, we're going to get back on task here. If you want a copy of the Battle of Olympus, physicals start at about $20. That's like the uniform thing. There are none that really dip below the $20 mark, and it's kind of been like that for a long time. So that's like the standard evergreen permanent price for this game. Base price, $20 and up. So I would say get a copy. If you like action adventure games, if you like Zelda 2, you should definitely play this game because it's Zelda 2, but set in ancient Greece. This has been the 8-Bit Animal. I'll catch you beautiful people tomorrow. Tomorrow. Hey, remember when they were putting robots and everything? Yeah, so this is around that time when they were putting robots in sports.